Rayzr. Hey, welcome back to Sketchin with Rayzr, and today I'm drawing a character named Frieren from the anime Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I've never actually watched the show, but I have watched various clips from the show, like funny scenes, some sad scenes, and some really awesome fight scenes. Now that I think about it, I've also watched/listened to some recaps of the show. It's essentially about an elf who lives for a very long time, and from what I remember, she goes on various adventures with various party members that she meets along the way. For this art piece, I was going to be drawing a Shortstack version of Frieren, but I also wanted to make sure to get the face as close as I could so that you can still understand that it's Frieren. In order to do that, I traced over the face of the reference image so I can get a good understanding of the structure of Frieren's face. Then I tried to recreate Frieren's face in a 3/4 angle while slightly tilted. I think it came out pretty close to what she looks like in the anime. Although I have noticed that in the reference images that I was getting from online, the people who were animating the show did not always keep her face on model. Sometimes her entire face was more spherical, almost looking like a ball with a chin attached to it. While other times it looked like they drew her head similar to that of a common anime girl. Speaking of anime, from what I remember from the recaps that I was both listening and watching, Frieren and her party members initially were not always able to defeat every single demon. In fact, one of the instances when this happened, they were forced to come up with a way to seal a demon. I can't remember exactly if it was part of their plan, but I believe they sealed the demon in order for them to take it down later when their capabilities were stronger, which is exactly what happens anyway. It's kind of funny thinking about it from his perspective, because he's in the middle of taking them down, only to get sealed, then unsealed after several years, get confused, try to fight them the same way he was previously, have none of his attacks work, and then get destroyed in one shot by Frieren. He's probably like, what just happened? I went up for an easy layup only to get dunked on by this tiny gremlin. Which initially sounds funny, seeing this tiny elf dunk on this huge dude, but then you remember that Frieren can fly, so then it's like, oh, well, she can just do that. But she's an adorable character. One of the things that I've noticed in regards to her character is there's this running joke where she would find a treasure chest and try to open it up herself, but the treasure chest would be a mimic. A mimic is essentially a chest that is actually a creature that will consume and eat any enemy that tries to open it up. The opening of the chest is essentially the mouth itself. I believe in some iterations of a mimic, the mimic will have arms and hands to help pull in anything that tries to open it much more easily. And since the running joke for Frieren is that she would open up a chest only to get eaten by the mimic, I thought it'd be funny to flip it on its head and have a mimic with arms and hands, which would make things easier for him to pull Frieren in, fail to pull Frieren in because Frieren slams the chest on its tongue. And then she does like a finger gun with one hand and a thumbs up towards the viewer. And giving the mimic arms and hands sells the joke even more because you can see the arms and hands sort of writhing in pain. I mentioned earlier that I was going to draw her in the Shortstack style, where the character is more on the shorter side and stacked. Hence the name Shortstack. Because, you know, thick thighs save lives. But it was for some reason a little bit difficult for me because I didn't quite know what to do with the legs, aside from her, just sitting. So I just sort of had the legs leaning up against each other, but like the feet interacting. So one of the feet would be lowered while the other one would be on top. Nothing too crazy. Just wanted to keep it simple. But for some reason, I was having issues getting the accuracy down for the foot. Once again, one of those things where it comes across like a simple thing to do, like tilt the foot up and down and be able to draw that, but I'm not sure if I accurately did that in terms of anatomy. Oh my gosh, am I gonna have to make a drawing feet video? Ironically, I think the only other thing that I had an issue with drawing in this video was drawing the hands. Yep, feet and hands. I guess that's just gonna be one of those things I gotta work on some more. But it's always annoying because it's one of those things where it's like I take a picture of my own hand and I constantly look at it back and forth over and over again while I'm trying to draw it. And I think I get it down. I get up, walk away, come back, and it looks off. And then I'll redo that process, get up, walk away, come back, and it looks a little bit off. Or sometimes I think it does look good, and then I'll post it, on a video or on a social media website, only for then later on for me to look back on it again and say, oh, well, actually, it does look off. So, I don't know. It's one of those things I just gotta work on, I guess. But aside from that, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you have a good one, and make sure to keep your mind, body, and soul razor sharp.
Rayzr.